Well, hello BookTube, hello book friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel and another video. This is a look at some of the possibilities I have for books to read for the Holmes is Where the Heart Is event, which is coming up in February, so only a few weeks away now. And there are 4 prompts this year, very similar to the 4 for last year, but with one exception. The 4th one has changed, I think, and they are the first one is to read one of the longer novels of Sherlock Holmes. So that would be A Study in Scarlet, A Sign of Four, The Hound of the Baskervilles, or Valley of Fear. I don't think I've missed anything out. So one of those. Read one of the short stories or one of the collections of short stories. To read some Sherlock Holmes pastiche fiction. And to read some non-fiction around Sherlock Holmes. So I've got a pile of books here in front of me, and this is just, I think these are the ones I'm going to be focusing on or choosing from first, but may not, depending on how things go. We'll see. So if you've been watching the channel for a while, you'll know that I am on a sort of personal project to reread all of the canonical stories of Sherlock Holmes, and I am in the order that they were published as collections. And you'll know that I've reached The Hound of the Baskervilles, so I think it's timely that I read The Hound of the Baskervilles for the longer form novel. Now, depending on where I go from there, technically the next that was published was The Valley of Fear, which is another longer form novel. Whether I'm sure I can get both in a week. It shouldn't be a problem. And that will take me up then to His Last Bow, or His Last Bow, depending on I'm pretty sure it's Bow. His Last Bow, which is the next of in the canonical stories, but is a collection of shorter works. So it includes things like The Adventure of Wisteria Lodge, The Bruce Partington Plans, The Adventures of the Devil's Foot, and so on. So I'm thinking, if I want to stick with my personal project, I need to kind of read those 3, which would be the first 2 weeks of the challenge. I'm also thinking, because I've got these lovely illustrated volumes which contain sort of drawings and pictures from the original Strand magazine publications, that I might read them in these books rather than I've been reading these Penguin classic editions for no particular reason other than I quite like them. So I might read them in the with the illustrations. I don't know. That's kind of where I'm thinking. So that's my plans for the first 2 prompts in the first 2 weeks. And then for the pastiche fiction, I've picked out 3. One that I haven't had all that long, and 2 that I know I've had for a while. So the one that I haven't had for very long is The Further Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, The Scroll of the Dead by David Stewart Davis. Now, there are quite a few pastiche novels published in this format by Mrs. Titan Books, and they published quite a few. So I think I might. I'm pretty sure I haven't read this, although I've had it a little while, a couple of years. So that's my first pastiche. Then one that I know I have had for a while, excuse me, is Sherlock Holmes, The 7% Solution. And it's being a reprint from the Reminiscences of John H. Watson, MD, as edited by Nicholas Meyer. So it's written by Nicholas Meyer. And on the back, Sherlock Holmes and Sigmund Freud together again for the first time. Together again for the first time? I'm not quite sure what that means, but I've had this for quite a while. And 7% Solution, as far as I know, refers to Sherlock Holmes's cocaine habit that he had early on. So, yeah, I'll be interested to see what that's like. And then finally, on the pastiche side, I've got Sherlock Holmes, My Life and Crimes. And this is this is a autobiography of Sherlock Holmes. So it's him. Sherlock Holmes, My Life and Crimes is the first totally convincing account of the man's life and evokes magnificently a vanished world. Every reader of Watson's version of Holmes's great cases will want to have the master's own record, which contains much vital information never previously put before the public. And that doesn't actually appear to be... It's written by Michael Hardwick, but it doesn't... his name doesn't appear very prominently. So it purports to be written by Sherlock Holmes. So yeah, that's the third choice I have for pastiche. I've got others, but those were the kind of three I think that I'll focus on. Then in the non-fiction, I've got a few. So the first up, I've got Sherlock Holmes on Screen, a complete film and TV history. I don't think it's complete anymore because I think it only goes up to the early 2000s. So it doesn't include the Benedict Cumberbatch, Martin Freeman, Holmes and Watson, for example. But it's basically, it's a film biography of all the various different films. So there's Christopher Lee, Basil Rathbone, all sorts of people in here. Ian Richardson, to various, Jeremy Brett, even a Kenneth Tom Baker, the more famous probably for Doctor Who. Yes, so there's all sorts in here. So that's one for the non-fiction, and another one that I think I might prioritise is A Study in Southsea, which it's written by Jeffrey Starbert, who is a bit like many people who discover Holmes. They discover him as a small boy, very much like I did, and he sticks with you for the rest of your life. So this is From Bush Villas to Baker Street, the unrevealed life of Dr. Arthur Conan Doyle, the creator of Sherlock Holmes. So it's very much about Conan Doyle rather than Holmes, but obviously he features Holmes and Watson, and the various stories feature quite heavily. And I'm really interested in this because Southsea is a part of Portsmouth in the UK, which is not far from where I live. So I might even make a bit of a side trip and see if I read this, see if I can see some of the places that are mentioned, and maybe do a video about that. But we'll see. I don't know that I'm going to have the time at the moment to do that. And then another one is Elementary, My Dear Watson, and it's a publication that was produced for the centenary of Strand magazine, I think it is. Um, and so there are lots of various Sherlock Holmes. It's kind of a series of essays. So yeah, that's another one. And then three, I wouldn't call them necessarily call them books. They are. I'm a member of the Sherlock Holmes Society of London, and they do like an annual field trip to somewhere in the that is relevant to the either Conan Doyle or Sherlock Holmes stories. So this is one that was about a Sunday in Sussex. So this is about um, the so there's something about this is all the stories that basically focus on Sussex, and then there's essays on things related to them and so on. And then I've got one that is the trimetallic question. This is the Winchester excursion, and that's a picture of the Arthur's Round Table, which hangs in the Great Hall in Winchester. So King Arthur's Round Table, if you believe that sort of thing. And again, this is essays on stories related to that excursion. And then this is Hound and Horse, a Dartmoor Commonplace book. So this is around the Dartmoor expedition. And as you can imagine, this features the Hound of the Baskervilles. So again, more questions. And tucked inside there is my. Oh wow, I'd forgotten this. This is my membership card to the Sherlock Holmes Society of London. So this is 1991, and the honorary secretary's stamp is on the back, and that's where is it? Geoffrey Starvett, who wrote this book. I had completely forgotten that I had this. So that's see, this is what I is these little things that I love about BookTube. So I got all these books off my shelf, and I hadn't realised that this was tucked into the front of this Hound and Horse. So yeah, I obviously joined the society in what looks like October 1991. And I've been a member ever since. So what's that? Long time, 30 odd years. Anyway, that's my pile of possibilities for Holmes is Where the Heart Is. As it stands at the moment, I'm sure I may add or remove some of those books. More likely add, I suspect. Anyway, if you have been, thank you for watching, and I will speak to you again soon. Take care now. Bye bye.